And I wasn't supposed to do that. But I want to tell you, I have love for this cat separate from the love that I have for Zeke. And the feelings that come up for him when Zeke, when I cry, when I see him around, are not affecting the joy that I have with this cat. And the joy that I have with this cat does not affect that I'm forgetting about Zeke either. They all coexist. So what I want for you, if you're experiencing a situation, and I don't see any other situations other than this right now, is if you are being affected by someone else's issues or in a relationship where that relationship status is terrifying to you, you absolutely must circular date. That is the healing thing. You must get out. You must talk to other people. You must walk around. You must interact. And while you were doing that, you must learn to be in all of your feelings rather than shutting them down because you're talking to a person. Took me a while I have like a meridian in front of my house and everybody walks their dogs out there and it's like a little park and we all know each other. And I would walk out there and I'd be just bursting into tears and I'd be bawling and I would have water coming down my face all the time. And I was trying to hide it, and then I went, well, why am I doing that? So as soon as I learned how to just let everybody see me the way I was, they'd ask me about Zeke, and I just stopped being so watchful of what I was showing up like, and just started being the way I was. That came into the rest of my life, and I can see the growth that has happened for me by practicing being in my feelings, even in public. So if you're at work, yeah, you can't stand in front of the room and cry. Well, why not? What would happen to you? They would say, oh, that girl is emotional. But you could also say, oh, I'm crying for my dog. I'm crying for a relationship that just ended. That got me a job once, by the way, when I was an actress, talking to the producer about a breakup that just happened because he asked me, said, I think something's off. And I told him, he gave me the job right away. So I'm I'm telling you, you don't know what the result's going to be. Okay. So you want to let all of these feelings that are grief bound into your grief to be felt. And you want to feel them within yourself, and you want to be yourself, and you want to find your joy and your action and the things that you love to do, and do those in his presence without trying to involve him at all. That is what he needs. And he will stop shutting down for you because you will be a door into a better feeling for him rather than like the backboard of all his misery. Can you see the difference? You're like the backboard of his misery. I'm here for you is your whole being at the moment. He does not want that. He wants you to take him to another place that feels better. He does not have any fear of feeling good. He doesn't know how to do it, but he doesn't have any fear of it. Yes, he's going to feel guilt. So if he has great sex with you, he may rebound and bounce into grief for a minute afterwards. Let him. Let him. Okay, I hope that was clear. I don't see too much writing. I hope that was super clear. Any other questions? Obviously, this is a whole course. This is a whole thing, and not everybody's interested in this. But I do want to say, even if you're in a great feeling place, but you feel stuck at work or you feel stuck in your masculine head, sometimes that is because they're just feelings that you don't want to feel. And I'm here to tell you, the bigger you can make yourself. Oh, I'm so grateful that that landed somehow. You're very welcome. That the more you can expand yourself, because you can handle a whole heck of a lot more than you believe you can. You can handle way more of everything. Actors have learned this. You can learn this. Okay.
I Oh my gosh, this is there yes, this is like a full out master class. This is a whole program. How all of like we deeply emotional creatures that we are, yeah, we're gonna feel when there's something off. And so many of us can let it just completely be a tidal wave, a tsunami through all our dreams and our hopes and our, our goals. Because most of us have been taught that if you can't control and fortify everybody else's emotions, then good luck having any good feeling of your own. Um, oh, and I where you talk about getting into the feelings and how it can even help you succeed at work.
Yes. And yes, here's this great question. And I find it relatively easy to feel when I'm alone, but more difficult in front of others, especially if the stakes feel high. Okay, so who's decided how high the stakes are? You have. You have decided that you're going to alienate your boss or your coworker if you feel an emotion. No, you reveal that if you feel an emotion, you are going to, oh, I see an actress here, fully within Meisner exercises. And that's the space where I can feel. So here's the answer, everyone. Practice. Practice. Think of it like practicing your scales on the piano, practicing learning a language, practicing learning how to add numbers, practicing anything. We have all been practicing our entire lives, and the way we feel and operate right now is the result of all the practice we have done. So perhaps the only shift that needs to be made is not in your underlying nature. No, that's brilliant, but in the practice that you have decided on. The thoughts that you go to as a pattern. What we want to do is dig up the old patterns. Thank you, Natalina, for asking. What are you assuming is at risk? The old patterns are meant to mitigate risk, to survive. We've done that since we were teeny tiny children when we did not get a solution for a pain. And we did not get what we needed in a moment. Can you imagine how that builds up for a baby all through childhood? Can you imagine the gazillions, literally, of moments, not just millions, but like unimaginable amount of times that you, from the time you were born, did not get a need met, and that went into your brain and your body, and you did something else to survive in that moment? You stopped crying, you didn't have words, or you had words but nobody heard. Well, we women have had that on doubly than men, just not being heard, period. All we did was we cried because we were not heard, and then people didn't pay attention because it just didn't seem like it was masculine energy important. Things have changed. Men are okay, more soft. And looking at the world, we all have to decide at this moment what is going to save the world. And I'm talking literally save the world. A great many super people of faith, the Thich Nhat Hanh, were all activists. It was part of that connection to the world in their faith. Some faiths are about, I just let go and let God. God will handle it. I will stay out of it. Depends who you are and what you feel. I mean, we're all different and we all have different facets that are important in this universe. So follow what makes you feel most passionate, most excited, most yourself, and follow that one. So what are you risking is usually made up from the moment we were children. And because we're women, we always feel we're going to risk respect, right? And let's see if I can differentiate this. Feeling the feeling is a very different thing than the way you speak. Communication is the next level, but feeling it. So you run from the room and you go to the ladies' room and you close yourself in the thing, and you sit there and you lean against the cold metal and you cry it out. And then you come back out. And if you have to delay that for a few minutes because you're standing in front of the boardroom giving a talk, and you have to share some bad numbers with the group, and you're feeling tons of stuff. You're feeling guilt and responsibility, and you're just getting more and more and more, and you're masculine and explaining yourself. When the real feeling is distress and ugh. But among that distressful feeling and that fear of going bad and the fear of the risk is also what you want. And if you can start uncovering what it is you want in every moment, what would feel good to you? Start asking yourself that all the time. What would feel good to you? Well, it would feel good to me if Zeke was here again. Okay, well, I don't need to say I can't have that. Why would I need to say that and say I feel him here? I could say, what would make me feel good to pet my new cat? Then I thought, well, why am I focused on the others? There's some other things. What else would feel good? Walking, just being in the air, standing, stretching my arms, reaching to the ceiling, lying on the floor, screaming at my top of my lungs, singing. What would feel good to me? And sometimes it's just standing here, breathing, taking in. Sometimes what would feel good to be taking in. Sometimes what would feel good would be letting out. Can you see all the difference in that? There are so many options, and I think that is what our problem is. As women, we feel so much, and we have so many creative ideas that we feel overwhelmed by all of this magnificence inside us. Now, to quote Marianne Williamson for that second, who is having her own issues, by the way. You know, her natural state of anger has always been an issue for Marianne Williamson, known by everyone, and how she handles her anger. And you can see how it is affecting her. So you could see her own lessons with herself, how it never feels quite pure and loving. It always feels like it's going through a bunch of other feelings with her. Well, we're afraid of doing that ourselves, and we're all doing that in some ways. So look at that. How am I trying to circumvent my anger and my feelings and my ickies and my joy and all of this? How am I guilt, and how am I trying to circumvent it? And just stop for a second and stop asking yourself. Once you've asked yourself, that's the stop moment. Go, oh, I'm looking. I want to be aware. Okay, well, then you just start feeling down